CQ, CQ, CQ. CQ, CQ, CQ. Calling the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Calling the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. The coffee is ready. I repeat, the coffee is ready. All stations, please stand by. Welcome to the 52nd edition of the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. We gather here every Sunday at 7 a.m. local on the 442.2 KE4CC Repeater that is located on top of Holston Mountain in Tennessee using a pill tone of 100.0 hertz. My name is JJ. The call here is N9TN. I'm located in Boring, Tennessee, and I'll be your net control and barista for this session of the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. The Sunday Morning Coffee Net is not affiliated with any clubs or organizations in the area, but just to be a neutral source of information in the amateur radio community. The purpose of the net is to discuss ham radio, exchange ideas, and of course drink a boatload of coffee. If during the net there is an emergency, please indicate so with a break, and your barista will take your call. For more information about the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, please visit our website and consider joining our email list. Our newsletter is sent out every Saturday around dinner time, providing access to the questions ahead of time for the net. The website URL is cqtn.org/coffee. Again, that's cqtn.org/coffee. Before I take any check-ins, and there anyone on frequency that has any news or announcements for the net, any news or announcements for the net, please call N9TN. Are there any news or announcements? Any news or announcements for the net? Please call N9TN, net control. All right. This Thursday at 8:30 p.m., we'll be having our Thursday Night Coffee Afterbrew. This is our informal ragchew on random repeaters. That is 12/26, December 26, 8:30 p.m. This week we'll be on the 145.11 K4 LNS repeater that is located on Holston Mountain. Again, 145.11, 8:30 on December 26th. That's this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Let me let it drop. In other news, this coming Saturday, the Sunday Morning Coffee Net will have its first year anniversary, and we'll hold this as a trivia night on Saturday, December the 28th at 7 p.m. on this repeater, 442.2. Again, that's the Sunday Morning Coffee Net will celebrate its first year anniversary on December the 28th at 7 p.m. as trivia night. So get your thinking caps ready for this Saturday. We'll have our trivia night right here on this repeater. Let me let it drop again. The Sunday Morning Coffee Net will host its first eyeball QSO breakfast, and we will be at the Bondo Burgers in Blountville, Tennessee, and the address for that is 3500 Tennessee Highway 126, Blountville, Tennessee. That's the Bondo Burgers. That is very close to the junkyard, if anybody knows where that is. We'll be holding this January the 11th. That is a Saturday at 8 a.m. in the morning. You do not have to RSVP, but it would be nice to know if you were coming. That way we can push some tables together when we get there. So let me know if you're going to be at the Bondo Burgers January the 11th. Just shoot me an email. All right, that's the Eyeball QSO breakfast. That is all the news and announcements I have. Is there anybody else on frequency that has anything to add to that? N9TN with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. All right, this is N9TN with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. I'll now take check-ins from in-and-out stations only, or those that don't wish to be called back during the net, please give your call sign slowly and phonetically. Announce your name and location. This is N9TN, Net Control. In and outs only.
Please check in and out. Kilo Lima 1 Zulu Alpha, Jim in downtown Bristol.
Net Control, this is Kilo Mike 4, Bravo Mike Delta, Derek in Violet, North Carolina.
All right, so far I have in and out KL1ZA. Good morning, Jim. Have a good rest of your day. KM4BMD, Derek, you're sounding good this morning. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for checking in and out. Any other in and out stations? In and out stations only, or those that don't wish to be called back, please call N9TN. This is the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, and I am in the middle of taking check-ins from in and out stations only, and those are stations that don't wish to participate in the net this morning. In and out stations only, please call N9TN. All right, as I said, this net operates as a participation-based with the following format. Net Control or the barista will ask you a series of 3 questions, and then we'll conclude the net with our additional comment round, that which includes our 7-3. But if during any time during the net you'll need to refill your coffee, you probably should tell Net Control. That way we do not run out of coffee. All right, at this time we'll take regular check-ins. Regular check-ins for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Please call now. This is N9TN.
Control, please check in Whiskey X-Ray 4, Echo Tango.
Net Control, please check in. Kilo November 4, Mike Victor Hotel, Larry in Greene County.
Control, check in Whiskey 4, Mike Tango Oscar, Maynard, Bluff City, Tennessee, W4MTO.
Net Control, please check in November 4, Tango Lima Bravo, Les in Johnson City.
Net Control, please check in Kilo Delta 4, Whiskey Mike X-Ray, KD4 WMX, Cannon Quiet Lodi.
Control, please check in Kilo Oscar 4, Echo Victor Charlie, Marcus in Johnson City, KO4 EVC.
Kilo India 4, Alpha Mike Delta, Mac in Friendship.
Right, this is the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Taking check-ins. Here is who I have so far. I have Eric, good morning, WX4ET. Good morning, Larry, KN4MVH. Maynard, W4MTO, the mayor of Skunkville. N4DTLB, good morning, Les. Ken, good morning to you, KD4WMX. And Marcus, KO4EVC, good morning to you. And then one of our backup net controllers, Mac, KI4AMD. Any others wishing to check in to the Sunday Morning Coffee Net? Please call N9TN.
N9TN, this is AK4MT.
Okay, AK4MT, please enlighten me and tell me what your name is and where you're located. That'll help me out on the list here. N9TN.
Okay, this is Mike up in Washington County, Virginia. I've checked in a couple times. That's about it.
All right, perfect. Glad to have you, and thank you for supporting the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Any others wishing to check in, please give your call sign, use them phonetics, announce your name and location. This is N9TN, Net Control.
Net Control. Check in November 4, Delta Tango Bravo. That's N4DTB. David of Bluff City.
Look there. There is another backup net controller for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net and our net manager for the Thursday Night Coffee Afterbrew. Good morning, David. Hope you're doing okay. Any others wishing to check into the Sunday Morning Coffee Net? Please call N910.
Kilo Delta 4, November Tango, Dwayne in Bristol.
All right, Dwayne, I have you for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Any others wishing to check in? Please call N910 Net Control. All right, before we take any more check-ins, let me go over the questions for today. Question number 1. How did you hear about amateur radio, and what was it that got you in the hobby? How did you hear about amateur radio, and what was it that just got you in the hobby? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, what is your New Year's resolution for 2025? What is your New Year's resolution for 2025? And of course, question number 3, what is for breakfast? What are we eating this morning? And I already know what Marcus is eating. Or not Marcus, Mac. He eats the same thing every day. Anyway, if anybody could beat a Pop-Tart, go for it. Anyway, before we move on and take some more check-ins, I would like to say thank you to Mac, KI4AMD, and David, N4DTB, taking over net controls for the past 4 or 5 weeks. I've taken a whole month off of amateur radio, just about a whole month off, trying to rest my voice and to try not to get burned out. So if you haven't heard me on the air, that is why. I usually take off about a month a year. That way I do not get burned out of this stuff. Anyway, I'm still having trouble with my voice, my health, so I'm going to just try to do the best I can. If I'm not here one day, you'll know why. Anyway, I do have some more news. We have permission for 2025 with Todd Malone, KE4CCB. He will be hosting the Sunday Morning Coffee Net on the 442.2 for 2025. He gave us permission to go another year, so yay us. So if you see him or hear him on the air, thank him so much for letting us have the net on his repeater. We're having a good time. All right, enough mumbo jumbo. Let's get back into the check-in. This is N9TN with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Please call now. Any other check-ins for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, please call N9TN. Well, just random information. I checked the membership on our email list. We have 42 people that get the email from the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. So apparently we're doing something right. 52nd edition. So happy New Year to all. It's been a great ride. We appreciate it. All right, let me go all the way back up here to the top. Eric is first. And see what he thinks about how did you hear about amateur radio and what was it that just got you in the hobby? And then question number 2 is, what is your New Year's resolution for 2025? And, of course, what's for breakfast? What are you having this morning? N9TN Net Control.
Well, good morning. This is WX4ET, Eric in Kingsport. Current temperature is 18 degrees. It's a little chilly out this morning, clear skies. Anyway, the first question, that my brother actually got me into ham radio back in 2009 at the Great Ham Fest. He invited me to come to the Great Ham Fest. And I looked around and thought, this looks interesting. So I tested in November of 2010 and got my license, and I'm on my 14th year. So that's what got me in the hobby, is my brother. So question number 2, my New Year's resolution, to get healthier. That's number one for sure. And what's for breakfast? Probably a couple of donuts. That sounds pretty good with some coffee. That's all I got. Good morning, everybody. WX4EC.
All right, donuts sound like a breakfast of champion. I had a bowl of dry cereal. I've been having some problems with milk products, so I've been trying to stay away from that part. So I've been eating Frosted Flakes with Tony the Tiger, but they've got a flavor called chocolate milkshake, and man, those have been good. So that's what I've been eating for breakfast last 2 or 3 weeks now, I guess. Anyway, KN4MVH, good morning, Larry. What about you this morning? N9TN with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net.
Good morning, N9TN and Sunday Morning Coffee Net. This is KN4MVH. I guess originally my dad was a ham in '67, but I did a field day with my brother in the early '70s, and then I guess when I retired and moved to Tennessee, I got interested in our local radio club. I saw an article or a notice about the radio club meeting, and that's when I attended and I got my license about 7-8 years ago. So that's when I revisited and got involved in amateur radio. I guess my New Year's resolution, more activity. I want to be more active, maybe get more physically fit, and then of course for breakfast, I'm not sure yet, maybe some yogurt and some fruit added to it. So everybody have a good morning. This is KN4MVH, back to N9TN.
All right, sounds great, Larry, and hope you do well on the yogurt. Ugh. I have to mix a bunch of stuff up with yogurt to make it actually edible. W4MTO, good morning to you, Maynard. How did you hear about amateur radio, and what was it that got you in the hobby is question number one. 2 is, what's your New Year's resolution for 2025? And then, of course, question number 3, what is for breakfast? What are we eating this morning? W4MTO N9TN.
MTO. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, JJ. How did I hear about ham radio? I've always knew about it. My dad got us into CB when I was a teenager. That's about as far as it went. Knew about ham radio. Never got into it for a few years ago. The reason why I got into it was lots of communication services. If it ever hits the fan, at least we have some way of communicating. That's what got me originally into it 4 years ago. New Year's resolution: try to stay healthy for another year and try to stay above the green. Just don't have nothing really solid to have a resolution on, except stay above the green for another year. And what's for breakfast? Not sure yet. We haven't got that far. Probably bacon and eggs is what we usually have. Back to you, JJ. Thanks for doing it this morning. I'm out of coffee.
All right, this is the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, and very good, Maynard. I haven't had any coffee this morning, believe it or not. I need to make me a cup. I had a Coca-Cola instead. We don't drink soft drinks very often, but Food City had a deal on Coke, and they actually had caffeine-free Coke, which I don't drink any soda that has caffeine in it, so. But anyway, it's hard to find caffeine-free Coke, so I was like, I bought them, and I'm on my last 12-pack, so we'll be out of those soon anyway. Then I'll go back to drinking coffee, I guess. All right, we're going to take a pause right here. Les, you're on deck, so when we come back, you will be next. See if there's anybody else wishing to check into the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Please give your call sign using phonetics. Announce your name and location. This is N9TN, your net control and barista for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. This is the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Taking check-ins for the net. Please call N9TN. All right, nothing heard. Les, you're next. N4TLB, N9TN.
This is November 4, Tango Lima Bravo, Les in Johnson City. Answer to the first question, I always knew of the ham radio existence, but anyway, how I got into it was that I was watching a YouTube video, and somebody had a Baofeng using it as a scanner to listen to trains, so I go out and photograph trains, so I thought I would like to get one of those and try it. It was really cheap, they said, so I ordered it, and when it was coming in, I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to talk on it, so I decided to go ahead and get my license, and that was got my technician March of 2023, and the rest is history. And as far as resolution, I guess it would be to lose some weight during starting in 2025. And what's for breakfast? Probably a breakfast bar. So I'll give it back to you. This is N4TLB.
All right. A breakfast bar, that could be anything. That could be a candy bar. That could be a granola bar. It could be one of them cereal bars. What else could it be? But I'm just going to say it's a chocolate candy bar, just to make it interesting. Hey, glad to have you, Les. Stick around for additional comments. And our 7-3 round coming up here in a little bit. All right, Ken, you're next on my list. Ken, KD4WMX. No, what about you? What do you got going on over there?
Well, good morning, everybody on the net. Got a good net going, but you always do. KD4WMX. Going back to 99 Turtles Napping. And how did I get into ham radio? I'll make it real quick. I used to be a REACT member that Modern Channel 9 on 11 meters. We called CB back then, but I call it 11 meters now. And we were doing bike races and runs and races and that type of stuff. And the CBers would override us, so we got into ham radio, so they couldn't do that. That was back in 1993. Not 1893, but 1993. Been KD4WMX ever since 1993. We'll let it drop. New Year's resolutions, it's KD4WMX. When you're perfect, you don't need to make them. Ha ha, joke, joke. Far from perfect. But I really don't make them, because, you usually don't keep them anyway, so why make them? So my biggest thing is just don't push up the daisies next year. And what's for breakfast? XYL hadn't told me yet, but it'll probably be bacon, eggs, and toast, or pancakes and bacon. Not sure yet. But I'll have something for breakfast. So, back to net control. 99 Turtles Napping. This is KD4WMX.
All right. Well, that sounds great. Ken, my New Year's resolution, I have 2 of them. And health-wise, I don't know how it's going to work out. All I could do is promise I'm going to try my best. First of all, I've got to get some weight off. All of you know that I'm fatter than fat and having trouble getting through the doorways and stuff. I get stuck, and then Becky has to push me through. But anyway, I'm going to try to lose a little bit of weight, try to get healthy. As y'all know, I've got some very, very hard autoimmune problems and issues and diseases and all that, and I'm having a real hard time with them, so I'm going to try to get those manageable. Anyway, 2, I'm going to try to get more involved with the ham radio clubs. I'm going I'm going to join the Bristol Amateur Radio Club, and this will be my first club locally that I'll be joining since I was the president of the Johnson City Club. So give me a round of applause for joining a club, because it's been a while since I was a president. I am a member of another club, but it's not local. It is in North Carolina on the East Coast, so it'll be 2 clubs I'll be a member of. And that's the Brunswick Shores Amateur Radio Club in Brunswick County, and that's near Wilmington. Anyway, I already said what's for breakfast, and I'll get on with my next question here in a little bit. Y'all will love how I got into amateur radio. All right, Marcus, you're next, KO4EVC. This is N9TN with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net.
Good morning, JJ. Good morning, everybody on the net. This is KO4EVC over here in Johnson City, Boones Creek area. Man, it's chilly. Jack Frost stopped by last night. We got about going on 15 degrees here over in Boones Creek, and it looks chilly out. Anyway, question number 1, I really don't recall how I heard about amateur radio. I'm sure I was a little tot somewhere running around with my grandpa with the CB, and I guess the CB kind of paved the way for ham radio for me, I guess. And what got me into the hobby was my father-in-law, Richard. His call sign's Whiskey Bravo 4 Lima Lima Victor WB4 LLV. I was always listening to his stories about him talking on the radio of different bands, and I talked to this guy from this place on 20 meters and this place, and I kind of finally got tired of not knowing really what he was talking about, so I started doing some studying, and I surprised him and got my tech license, and then I upgraded to a general, so I really owe it to Richard for getting me into the hobby. Anyway, New Year's resolution, I'll let it drop here. I'm like Ken. I never really have I'm sure I've made them, but I just haven't really stuck by them. So I don't really make them. I just listen to everybody else's and kind of pick and choose from there. Like, hey, that's a good idea. I think I'll try that. But yeah, I never really made one either, or stuck with it, I guess. So I don't really have one, a New Year's resolution. And for breakfast, I don't really know that either. I probably some eggs, maybe an egg sandwich. But anyway, hope everybody's having a good morning, and I'll give it back to you, JJ, N9TN, KO4EVC.
All right, this is the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Going to take a pause right here to see if there's anybody else wishing to check in. Mac, you're next on deck, so get ready to answer the questions. But I'm going to take a pause right here to see if there's anybody else wishing to check into the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Please give your call sign. Using phonetics, announce your name and location. This is N9TN, Net Control. Any others wishing to check into the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, please call N9TN. All right, nothing heard. I will go back up the list here and catch KI4AMD. Mac, thank you for covering for me while I was in my absence, and you did a fine job on the net, my friend. KI4AMD and 910.
910 in the net from KI4AMD. It was my pleasure, JJ, to help with the net. I always enjoy talking to a captive audience. That's why I volunteered to teach a class in a prison. Let's see, topic number 1. How did I hear about amateur radio, and what was it that got me into the hobby? Gosh, it's a long story. I guess it goes back to my childhood. I was a big race fan. Used to go to races at Bristol and Charlotte. Both races at Bristol every year, and one at Charlotte every year. And And folks started getting these scanners so they could listen to the drivers. So I wanted a scanner, and my parents got me one for Christmas. So I had this scanner for Christmas, and then, of course, it was several months yet till the race came, so I started researching and found some scanner frequencies, some local stuff to listen to, and one of those was a 2-meter amateur radio repeater, so I was monitoring that and listening to amateur radio operators talk about the stuff we talk about on these repeaters. But many years passed of just being a scanner listener before I went off to college, and I met this girl in college, and this was back in the days of AOL Instant Messenger, so we exchanged our AOL Instant Messenger names, and her IM name was an amateur radio call sign, which fascinated me. I recognized that pattern of 2 letters, a number, and 3 more letters. But it really wasn't her that got me into it, I guess. It was one day when I decided I'd graduated college, and I decided I was going to go for a hike on the Appalachian Trail, just kind of go out a few days, turn around, and come back. And I realized that if I did that, going out alone on the Appalachian Trail for a couple of days and back, I'd probably die. So, to do it without any communications, I said, what I really need is an amateur radio license. So I spent those few days I had with no work and no school cramming for the technician test, and I drove to Coburn, Virginia from Blacksburg to take the test within just 2 or 3 days of deciding to do it. And that kind of got me started, and a few years after that I upgraded to extra and did the 5-word per minute code element and all that stuff, and well, here I am. The New Year's resolutions, I don't really think about New Year's resolutions pretty much, but there are a few things that I need to do soon, and the weight loss thing, that's there. I noticed my weight's gotten up above 190 again, and I worked pretty hard a few years ago to get it down below 185, so I guess I'm going to have to turn around and try to glide back down to just below 185. I'd like to go gradually, but what I learned last time is a gradual weight loss seems to be difficult to do, so might have to crash it and get it there, but we'll see. I'll work on eating less and exercising more and see if it'll drift down, and if not, I'll bring down the hammer. Breakfast, yeah, probably a toaster pastry. At least my youngest will have a toaster pastry or 2 and a nice tall cold glass of milk. But that's just because it's Sunday. I do eat different breakfasts different days of the week. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, JJ. Thanks for running the net today, and 7-3, well, I'll say 7-3 during the 7-3 round. N9TN, KI4AMD.
No, I'm not believing you. All I've ever heard you eat is toaster pastries, so don't hand me that you eat something else. I'm not believing it for 1 minute. All right, AK4MT. Well, Mike, I don't think I've had the pleasures of yapping at you. If I do, I don't remember, and I really apologize. All I blame it on is old age. Anyway, go ahead, my friend. Do you need the questions again, or do you remember them?
No, I'm good. I've been sitting here listening. As far as breakfast goes, you can put me over in the Pop-Tart camp, unfrosted cinnamon. And as far as New Year's resolutions goes, I don't really have a resolution, have more intentions. And that is to get my woodshed back in good shape, get it full of wood. Kind of fell behind a little bit. Got plenty of wood to do that with now, so gonna work on that. And as far as getting into the hobby, it was back in the early 90s, 90, 91, and I worked with a gentleman that he was a truck driver, and he had he was trying to do some 11-meter sideband, and we went down to his house to witness this miracle. The bands were pretty well open at that time, and of course, operationally, he didn't know what to do, and wouldn't nobody talk to him. We heard a lot of people in there, but I got interested in what all that stuff meant on the radio, what was LSB and USB and CW, and started researching that. And then shortly thereafter, got licensed as KD4 AHD, and shortly after that, got my got my extra, and just went on from there. So been fooling with it for years and enjoy it very much. And just kind of came back around, heard you guys here one day, thought I'd jump in and talk to you. It's always a pleasure. Back over to you, JJ, in 9TN from AK4MT.
All right. Well, thank you for checking into the net, Mike. Stick around for our additional comments on our 7-3 round, and we're glad to have you. 10-4 DTB. David, you're next. And thank you for covering me during my absence, my friend. I appreciate it very much. N4DTB and 910 with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net.
4DTB, no problem, JJ. I always enjoy subbing for you. And first question on how I got into ham radio. That is kind of a long story. My older brother used to be real big into CB radio, so I got into that. And during that time, I discovered scanners, so I'd become more of my hobby. And when we moved down from Indiana to be closer to my grandmother that lived down here, she was an avid scanner listener, and one of the frequencies was a ham radio repeater frequency. And so that's how I learned about ham radio, and I started doing some searches and found more repeaters to listen to. So I was an avid scanner listener for many years before I got my license, and decided in 2012 that I should get my license and talk to several of these people I've listened to for years. So that's my story, and that's how I got into ham radio. Let me let it breathe. Question number 2, my New Year's resolution. I guess my New Year's resolution is to keep my A1C down, and I'll try to try to get it down a little bit more if I can, but just to keep it low. So that's my New Year's resolution. And what's for breakfast? Probably waffle, eggs, and I'll give it back to you, JJ. This is N4 DTB.
All right, David. Well, thank you again for helping me out during my absence. And you do a great job with the net controlling for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, and also the Thursday Night Coffee Afterbrew. We really appreciate you. For those that don't know, the Thursday Night Coffee Afterbrew is an extension of the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, and usually it's on Thursday night, and we have it at 8:30 p.m. on different repeaters in the area. And that's why we call it informal ragchew on random repeaters. So you don't know where we're going to end up, and we have a good time there as well. And usually the net controller or the first one in line gets to talk about whatever they want, and then we just discuss that and learn about each other and have a good time on amateur radio. Use some of these repeaters that don't get used very often. So that's the Thursday Night Coffee Afterbrew, and David is the net control manager for that, and he does a good job running that program. All right, before we get to Dwayne, I want to answer my question. Question number 1, I got into amateur radio. I was intern at a broadcast radio station, and I always thought it'd be really cool to have your own call sign. Kind of like a broadcast radio station. I did not know anything about amateur radio at that point, and but I always thought it would be cool. And then I met my Elmer on the internet in one of the former forums, if I could talk. It was a Christian forum, and we talked for a while. And he lives in Knoxville, and he still does. And he told me about ham radio about 5-6 years in of knowing each other, and he got me into the hobby, and the rest is history. So and I've been in since October of 2009. October 2009, and have it had its ups and downs, but overall, it's been pretty fun. All right, Dwayne, you're next here on the list. KD4NT. As of next week, you are not next week, the week after next, you're officially the president of the Bristol Amateur Radio Club. Congratulations, my friend, and go ahead with your answers.
Hey, thank you, JJ. Good morning to everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. Well, how did I hear about amateur radio, and how did I get into it? Well, my dad, he used to be a ham a long, long time ago, and I remember watching him climb a tree to put an antenna up in the tree, and well, I joined the military and spent 24 years in the military, forgot all about the ham radio, and come back, and well, I just one day I said, you know what, I want to get into ham radio, and that's what I did. So that's kind of how it went right there. What's my resolutions? I don't really have any resolutions for the new year. And what's for breakfast? Biscuits and gravy. Back to you, JJ, KD4NT.
Oh, goodness, yeah. Watching your dad climb a tree, put up an antenna, that's cool. Do you remember what your dad's call sign was?
If I sure don't.
Oh, goodness gracious, we're going to have to figure that out. I may have to get with you. I've got a couple of those old ham radio dictionaries, the directories, back from long days ago, kind of like the QRZ of back in the 70s and 80s. Anyway, we'll get with you and get some information. Maybe we'll find out what his call sign is. All right, that brings me down to the bottom of the list here on the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. I'm going to take a pause right here before we get on with the net and see if there's anybody else wishing to check in. Please give your call sign using phonetics, announce your name and location. This is N9TN.
Hello, this is Kilo 4 Tango Whiskey Pop-Up Bill in Kingsport.
All right, Bill, I have you, K4TWP. Any others wishing to check into the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, please call. All right, nothing heard. Don't forget, Thursday Night Coffee Afterbrew will be on the 14511 machine, 14511 machine on this Thursday at 8:30 for the Thursday Night Coffee Afterbrew. And don't forget this coming Saturday. Yep, it's this Saturday will be the first year anniversary celebration of the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. At 7 p.m. we'll be holding trivia night right here on 442.2. And so far we're going to be having that. I've had a death in the family, and the funeral is supposed to be that day, but we'll see. I will send out an email to verify if things change. Also, the Sunday Morning Coffee Net Eyeball QSO breakfast, 8 a.m., Saturday, January 11th, at the Bondo Burger in Blountville, Tennessee. So that's Saturday, January 11th, 8 a.m., for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net Eyeball QSO breakfast. All right, those are the announcements. Let's go on to the 73 round. And Eric, you are first. WX4ET and 9TN.
Good morning again. This is WX4ET. I was going to add on to my how I got into ham radio too. Before Jason got me into it, I was pretty avid in public service through the fire department and rescue squad, so I talked on the radio then too. And of course, in high school we played on TV, so I did have some experience on radios. But there you go. But and also did a little bit of dispatching too in the process. That was interesting. Enough about that. Let's see. Looks like temperatures next week are going to be in the mid to upper 60s coming up, and some rain. No wonder everybody's kind of sick. Everybody's the temperature's just dropping and then coming back up again. But it is winter. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for doing the net, and we will come back next Sunday. WX4EC. Good morning, everybody.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, we'll have trivia night first on Saturday night, 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. I'm going to confuse everybody. So trivia night this Saturday at 7 p.m. then 7 a.m. in the morning. On Sunday we'll have the coffee net again. So we're going to have a bunch of nets right here at the last of the year. All right. Next on my list, Larry. Merry Christmas and 7-3 to you, my friend. And 9TN.
Merry Christmas to you and 9TN and everybody on the coffee net this morning. I've been picking up another little hobby. I've been trying to restore old AM radios, and that's been kind of a fun little hobby. Although this time of year it gets a little cold in the garage. I got a little space heater out there that I've been running, but I keep popping a fuse on one of my power strips, so I plugged it into someplace else. So yeah, it's kind of a fun thing to do. Learn about replacing capacitors and checking resistors, and that's a fun little thing to do on the little side. I had some success. It's been fun. So everybody have a safe holiday, Christmas. If you're going to be together with family, make sure you tell them that you love them, and give them a hug and a kiss. You never know when you're not going to see them again. So, lightning can strike in weird places, and you may not see them again. So be sure to tell your loved ones that you love them. Merry Christmas to everybody, and a Happy New Year if I don't talk to you between now and next year. This is Kilo November 4, Mike Victor Hotel. Have a safe holiday.
Alrighty, Larry. I think it's in a movie called The Great Outdoors, where that guy gets struck by lightning 100,000 times. But yeah, you're right. Anything can happen to anybody at any time. Maynard, you're next. I'm sure I'll hear you before Christmas, but in case I don't, have a good holiday, my friend. And 9TN, 7-3 to you.
Before MTO. Yes, Merry Christmas to everybody on the net, and y'all enjoy your families. It's like I said, you don't know when you're going to see them again. Sure do miss my mom, but it is what it is. We are not going to get out of here alive. But Merry Christmas to everybody. Y'all have safe holidays, and the morning of the 26th, I head for Tellico Plains for a hog hunt. So that's where my weekend's going to be. So I won't be doing the trivia net for you, or participating in the net, JJ. So that's where I'll be down Tellico. Have a safe holiday. Merry Christmas to everybody, and we'll talk to you again. 7-3, W4MTO.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Yep, that comes from one of my favorite movies. And for TLB, Les, Merry Christmas to you, and have a good holiday, and 7-3. And for TLB at 9TN.
It's November 4, Tango Lima Bravo, Les in Johnson City. I hope everybody has a good rest of the day, good rest of the weekend. And I want to say Merry Christmas to all. And everybody have a good Christmas. And I'll say 73s. This is November 4, Tango Lima Bravo.
All right, Les, have a good one. Ken, KD4WMX, Merry Christmas to you, and have a great time with your family. And try not to overeat. KD4WMX and 9TN with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net.
Well, this is KD4WMX, and I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. And like somebody said, make sure you tell all your friends and family members that you love them. I know my brother-in-law is making fun of me because I don't leave my mother-in-law before I tell her I love her. And, 'cause I do. She's a saint walking on earth. She's a fantastic lady. And I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas. And I'll say 73 to everybody. And I'll try to hit the ragchew net, but I'll definitely be on the Sunday morning coffee net. 73, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Speaking of Thursday Night Coffee Net Afterbrew, looking for a net controller for January the 2nd. So if anybody is able to call the Thursday Night Coffee Afterbrew on January the 2nd, please drop me a text or email. We need somebody to cover that day. David and myself are going to be out of pocket, and we need somebody to step up and do that for us. All right, let's see, who's next here? Marcus, KO4EVC. This is N9TN with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. 7-3, and Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Hey, it's me again, KO4EVC. Not too much to add to the 7-3 round, so I'll just make it short and sweet and say Merry Christmas, everybody. 7-3 to you, and stay safe out there, and hopefully I'll see you next time on the Coffee Net. 7-3, everybody. KO4EVC.
All right, Marcus, have a good one. KI4AMD, Mac, 7-3 to you. Merry Christmas, and hope you have a good holiday with your family. N9TN with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net.
N910 in the net from KI4AMD. I guess I got an early start on that extra activity since between the first question and the 7-3 round, or the question round and the 7-3 round. I went out and sprinted to the wood pile and back with a fresh wheelbarrow load of firewood, and just barely made it back in the shack in time to check for the 73. Also remembered that I forgot that I didn't tell the end of that story about the girl with the instant messenger with the ham radio call sign for an instant messenger handle. I married her, so that's why occasionally she can provide an extra check-in for the net when you're trying to set a record. And other than that, well, 7-3 to everybody, and thanks again, JJ, for running the net today. I'll talk to you next week. N9TN, KI4AMD.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I figured that would have been the romantical thing to do is marry the girl that had the call sign. All right, 7-3, my friend. AK4MT. Mike, I'm going to take a stab at it. The MT is your initials. Am I right or wrong? 7-3, my friend. You have a good day and a good Christmas. N9TN, Sunday Morning Coffee Net. Go ahead, Mike.
You are correct. I decided to get a vanity call probably around 2010. I was Alpha Charlie 4 Juliet Delta for a long time, and then wanted something that worked a little bit better on CW, so that's what I did. But anyway, want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Enjoy listening to you fellas, and hope everybody has a blessed day and enjoy this crisp weather. We'll see you next week. This is AK4MT, back to N9TN.
All right, perfect. We'll be glad to have you. We're having a great time on the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. For those that don't know and that are listening, because we do have a lot of listeners, but they just too shy to check in. Sunday Morning Coffee Net has a website, and we have an email list. That is the only way to get questions early for the net, and I usually send out the email about Saturday evening, usually about dinner time. So the website is cqtn.org/coffee. That's Charlie Quebec Tango November.org/coffee. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is a button for the email list. So that's the Sunday Morning Coffee Net website. It's good on my QRZ page, and I think it's good on some other QRZ pages that are on this net. But if it isn't, put it on there. Let everybody know that you're a participant in this net. We got to get the word out. All right, N4DTB. Before you get on with your 7-3 and your Merry Christmas wishes, do you remember what frequency that ham radio repeater was that you scanned or had in your scanner back when you got interested in this hobby? Do you remember the frequency and the repeater? N4DTB N9TM with the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. 7-3, my friend.
N4DTB, and yes, I do. It was 147.000. My grandmother was an avid listener of the 147.000, and I forget the ham call that she really liked listening to. But some of the ones that probably everybody would be familiar with, Ben, I heard him on there, and probably I heard Bob Lilly as well on there. So, but that was, yep. And then I got in and I really started listening to the 146.76 repeater. That's kind of how I know a little bit about the repeater, the 76 repeater. So, and on to my 7-3 now. So, hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas, and hope to hear a lot on this coming Thursday. And I'll say 7-3 from N4DTB.
And we got the 7-3 from the puppy dog. All right, and you're talking about the WR4CC repeater, and Charlie Stuchel was one of the manufacturer, or the men who really kept the 220 repeater going, the 224.2, which was a WR4CBX repeater. The 147.000 is now owned by the Bristol Club, and of course it's down right now because their tower had met its doom when Helene came through. So the Bristol Club's actually using this repeater for their communications and their net on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. here on the 442.2 for those that don't know. All right, let's see here. KD4NT, 7-3 to you, my friend. This is N9TN.
You there, JJ? Well, I hope everybody out there has a good day and enjoys. Just wanted to reach out and tell everybody Merry Christmas, and hope y'all have a safe and healthy holiday. Take care, and hope to see some of y'all out there at the next meeting in Bristol. It's KD4NT. Back to you, JJ.
All right. Well, Dwayne, we appreciate it. And Merry Christmas to you. Bill, I don't think I called on you for the questions, so I'm going to stop right here and let you answer the questions, and then you can go ahead and talk about your 7-3. K4TWP N9TN.
Well, good. Excuse me. Well, good morning. Nice to talk to everybody. Haven't talked to anybody much for the last couple of weeks. Karen, where I've had the flu, but we're on the mend. Just in time for Christmas, I guess. As for how I got into the hobby, long story, but the short of it is I had been wanting to do it for a long time, and when I retired from the Eastman, I got my license in 2021, and then just built my rig, and just been kind of, that's what the story is. Let it rest here for a minute. I don't know what the second question was. And for breakfast, I'm probably just going to have some cereal. What was the second question?
The second question is, what is your New Year's resolution for 2025?
I generally don't make New Year's resolutions because I very rarely keep them. So my resolution is to not make any resolutions for 2025. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and just be safe and just enjoy your family. It's a wonderful thing. This is a K4TWP out.
All right. Well, thank you, Bill. And you have a good and Merry Christmas. Tell Karen we said hello and Merry Christmas to her. And anyway, that brings us down to the bottom of the list. It's over. The 56th edition, or the 52nd edition. I don't know where I got 56, but 52nd edition of the Sunday Morning Coffee Net is almost finished. We're going to close this thing up and we're going to go get a cup of coffee. But let me see if there is any late check-ins. Late check-ins are going to be in and outs, and just to see if anybody's listening and wants to get in before we close this thing up. So in and out stations only. You will not be called back, but we are going to just take your call sign down and your name. N9TN.
KE4CCB, hopefully you're hearing me. My battery's dead. KE4CCB, Bluff City. This is Todd.
Control, please check in and out. Kilo Mike 4, Alpha Charlie, Quebec. KM4ACQ, John in Buchanan County, Virginia.
All right, yeah, we heard you, Todd, KE4CCB. And then Jonathan, KM4ACQ. Any other in and out stations? Calling in and out stations only, please call N9TN for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net.
Net Control, please check in Kilo Oscar 4, Zulu Victor Sierra, John in Bristol.
All right, John, I have you, KO4ZPS. There was somebody under you. I did not get them, so station calling, go ahead. Any others wishing to check in and out for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net, please call. All right, nothing heard. That does it for the 52nd edition of the Sunday Morning Coffee Net. We had a total of 17 check-ins. We thank everybody that took the time to participate in the net. And I would like to say Merry Christmas to all those that are participating and listening to the net this morning. And have fun with your family. And also remember the announcements. I'll just go over the main one here. The first year anniversary celebration of the Sunday Morning Coffee Net will be as Trivia Night coming this Saturday at 7 p.m. This Saturday, 7 p.m. is Trivia Night for the Sunday Morning Coffee Net first year celebration. So hope to see you all on this repeater for 42.2, and we're going to have Trivia Night. So we're going to have a blast. The net today was held on the 442.2 repeater that is located on Holston Mountain. I'd like to thank Todd Malone, KE4CCB, for the use of the repeater this morning, and I'll now return the repeater back to normal amateur radio use. And I'll say 7-3 and Merry Christmas. This is N9TN, Boring, Tennessee.